The party is big. The party is expensive. The party has been planned for years. There are at least 200 people in the country club's grand ballroom. Lev got to pick the band. He got to choose the food. He even got to select the color of the linens, red and white, for the Cincinnati Reds. And his name, Levi Jedediah Calder, is stamped in gold on the silk napkins for people to take home as a remembrance. This party is all for him. It's all about him, and he's determined to have the best time of his life. The adults at the party are relatives, friends of the family, his parents' business associates, but at least 80 of the guests are Lev's friends. There are kids from school, from church, and from the various sports teams he's been on. Some of his friends had felt funny about coming, of course. "I don't know, Lev," they had said. "It's kind of weird. I mean, what kind of present am I supposed to bring?" "You don't have to bring anything," Lev had told them. "There are no presents at a tithing party. Just come and have a good time. I know I will." And he does. He asks every girl he invited to dance, and not a single one turns him down. He even has people lift him up in a chair and dance with him around the room, because he'd seen them do that at a Jewish friend's bar mitzvah. True, this is a very different kind of party, but it's also a celebration of him turning 13, so he deserves to get lifted up in a chair too, doesn't he? Lev finds that dinner is served far too soon. He looks at his watch to see that 2 hours have already gone by. How could it have gone so quickly? Soon people grab the microphone, and holding up glasses of champagne, they start making toasts to Lev. His parents give a toast, his grandmother gives a toast, and his uncle he doesn't know gives a toast. To Lev, "It's been a joy watching you grow into the fine young man you are, and I know in my heart that you'll do great things for everyone you touch in the world." It feels wonderful and weird for so many people to say so many kind things about him. It's all too much, but in some strange way, it's not. There's got to be more. More food, more dancing, more time. They're already bringing out birthday cake. Everyone knows the party ends once the cake is served. Why are they bringing out the cake? Can it really be 3 hours into the party? Then comes one more toast. It's the toast that almost ruins the evening. Of Lev's many brothers and sisters, Marcus has been the quietest all evening. It's unlike him. Lev should have known something was going to happen. Lev, at 13, is the youngest of 10. Marcus, at 28, is the oldest. He flew halfway across the country to be here at Lev's tithing party, and yet he's barely danced or spoken or been a part of any of the festivities. He's also drunk. Lev has never seen Marcus drunk. It happens after the formal toasts are given, when Lev's cake is being cut and distributed. It doesn't start as a toast. It starts as just a moment between brothers. "Congrats, little bro," Marcus says, giving him a powerful hug. Lev can smell the alcohol on Marcus's breath. "Today you're a man, sort of." Their father, sitting at the head of the table just a few feet away, lets out a nervous chuckle. "Thanks, sort of," Lev responds. He glances at his parents. His father waits to see what's coming next. His mother's pinched expression makes Lev feel tense. Marcus stares at Lev with a smile that doesn't hold any of the emotion a smile usually comes with. "What do you think of all this?" he asks Lev. "It's great." "Of course it is. All these people here for you. It's an amazing night. Just amazing." "Yeah," says Lev. He's not sure where this is going, but he knows it's going somewhere. "I'm having the time of my life." "Damn right. The time of your life. Gotta wrap up all those life events, all those parties into one. Birthdays, wedding, funeral." Then he turns to their father. "Very efficient, right, Dad?" "That's enough," their father says quietly, but it only makes Marcus get louder. "What? I'm not allowed to talk about it? Oh, that's right. This is a celebration. I almost forgot." Lev wants Marcus to stop, but at the same time, he doesn't. Mom stands up and says in a voice more forceful than Dad's, "Marcus, sit down. You're embarrassing yourself." By now, everyone in the banquet hall has stopped what they were doing and are tuned into the unfolding family drama. Marcus, seeing he has the room's attention, picks up someone's half-empty glass of champagne and holds it high. "Here's to my brother Lev," Marcus says, "and to our parents, who have always done the right thing, the appropriate thing, who have always given generously to charity, who have always given 10% of everything to our church. Hey, Mom, we're lucky you had 10 kids instead of 5, otherwise we'd end up having to cut Lev off at the waist." Gasps from all those assembled. people shaking their heads. Such disappointing behavior from an eldest son. Now Dad comes up and grabs Marcus's arm tightly. "You're done," Dad says. "Sit down." Marcus shakes Dad's arm off. "Oh, I'll do better than sit down." Now there are tears in Marcus's eyes as he turns to Lev. "I love you, bro, and I know this is your special day, but I can't be a part of this." He hurls the champagne glass against the wall, where it shatters, spraying fragments of crystals all over the buffet table. Then he turns and storms out with such steady confidence in his stride that Lev realizes he's not drunk at all. Lev's father signals the band, and they kick into a dance number even before Marcus is gone from the huge room. People begin to fill the void of the dance floor, doing their best to make the awkward moment go away. "I'm sorry about that, Lev," his father tells him. Why don't you go dance?" But Lev finds he doesn't want to dance anymore. The desire he had to be the center of attention left along with his brother. "I'd like to talk to Pastor Dan, if that's all right." "Of course it is." Pastor Dan has been a family friend since before Lev was born, and he's always been much easier to talk to than his parents about any subject that required patience and wisdom. The banquet hall is too loud, too crowded, so they go outside to the patio overlooking the country club's golf course. "Are you getting scared?" Pastor Dan asks. He's always able to figure out what's on Lev's mind. Lev nods. "I thought I was ready. I thought I was prepared." "It's natural. Don't worry about it." But it doesn't ease the disappointment Lev feels in himself. He's had his entire life to prepare for this. It should have been enough. He knew he was a tithe from the time he was little. "You're special," his parents had always told him. "Your life will be to serve God and mankind." He doesn't remember how old he was when he found out exactly what that meant for him. "Have the kids in school been giving you a hard time?" "No more than usual," Lev tells him. It's true. All his life he's had to deal with kids who resented him because grown-ups treated him as if he was special. There were kids who were kind, and there were kids who were cruel. That was life. It didn't bother him, though, when kids called him things like dirty Unwind, as if he was like those other kids whose parents signed the Unwind order to get rid of them. That couldn't be further from the truth for Lev. He is his family's pride and joy. Straight A's in school, MVP in a Little League. Just because he's to be unwound does not mean he's an Unwind. There are, of course, a few other tithes at his school, but they're all from other religions, so Lev has never felt a real sense of camaraderie with them. The huge turnout at tonight's party testifies to how many friends Lev has, but they're not like him. Their lives will be lived in an undivided state. Their bodies and their futures are their own. Lev has always felt closer to God than to his friends, or even his family. He often wonders if being chosen always leaves a person so isolated, or if there's something wrong with him. "I've been having a lot of wrong thoughts," Lev tells Pastor Dan. "There are no wrong thoughts, only thoughts that need to be worked out or overcome." "Well, I've been feeling jealous of my brothers and sisters. I keep thinking of how the baseball team is going to miss me. I know it's an honor and a blessing to be a tithe, but I can't stop wondering why it has to be me." Pastor Dan, who was always so good at looking people in the eye, now looks away. "It was decided before you were born. It's not anything you did or didn't do." "The thing is, I know tons of people with big families." Pastor Dan nodded. "Yes, it's very common these days." "But lots of those people, they don't tithe at all, even families in our church, and nobody blames them." "There are also people who tithe their first, second, or third child. Every family must make that decision for itself. Your parents waited a long time before making the decision to have you." Lev reluctantly nods, knowing it's true. He was a true tithe, with 5 natural siblings plus 1 adopted, and 3 that arrived by stork. Lev was exactly 1/10. His parents had always told him that made him all the more special. "I'll tell you something, Lev," Pastor Dan says, finally meeting his eye. Like Marcus, his eyes are moist, just one step short of tears. "I've watched all your brothers and sisters grow up, and although I don't like playing favorites, I think you are the finest of them all in so many ways. I wouldn't even know where to start. That's what God asks for, you know? Not first fruits, but best fruits." "Thank you, sir." Pastor Dan always knows what to say to make Lev feel better. "I'm ready for this." And saying it makes him realize that, in spite of his fears and misgivings, He truly is ready. This is everything he's lived for. Even so, his tithing party ends much too soon. In the morning, the Calders have to eat breakfast in the dining room with all the leaves in the table. All of Lev's brothers and sisters are there. Only a few of them still live at home, but today they've all come over for breakfast. All of them, that is, except Marcus. Yet, for such a large family, it's unusually quiet, and the clatter of silverware on china makes the lack of conversation even more conspicuous. Lev, dressed in his silk tithing whites, eats carefully, so not to leave any stains on his clothes. After breakfast, the goodbyes are long, full of hugs and kisses. It's the worst part. Lev wishes they would all just let him go and get the goodbyes over with. Pastor Dan arrives. He's come at Lev's request, and once he's there, the goodbyes move more quickly. Nobody wants to waste the pastor's valuable time. Lev is the first one out in his dad's Cadillac, and although he tries not to look back as his father starts the car and drives away, he can't help it. He watches as his home disappears behind him. I'll never see that home again, he thinks. But he pushes the thought out of his mind. It's unproductive, unhelpful, selfish. He looks at Pastor Dan, who sits beside him in the back seat, watching him, and the pastor smiles. It's all right, Lev, he says. Just hearing him say it makes it so. How far is the harvest camp? Lev asks to whoever cares to answer. It's about an hour from here, his mom says. And will they do it right away? His parents look to each other. I'm sure there'll be an orientation, says his father. The short answer makes it clear to Lev that they don't know any more than he does. As they pull onto the interstate, Lev rolls down the window to feel the wind on his face and closes his eyes to prepare himself. This is what I was born for. It's what I've lived my life for. I'm chosen, I'm blessed, and I'm happy. Suddenly, his father slams on the brakes. With his eyes closed, Lev doesn't see the reason for their unexpected stop. He just feels the sharp deceleration of the Cadillac and the pull of the seatbelt on his shoulder. He opens his eyes to see they stopped on the interstate. Police lights flash. And was that a gunshot he just heard? What's going on? Then, just outside the window is another kid, a few years older than him. He looks scared. He looks dangerous. Lev reaches over to quickly put up his window, but before he can, the kid reaches in, pulls up the lock on the door, and tugs the door open. Lev is frozen. He doesn't know what to do. Mom! Dad! He calls. The boy with murder in his eyes tugs on Lev's white silk shirt, trying to pull him out of the car, but the seatbelt holds him tight. What are you doing? Leave me alone! Lev's mom screams for his father to do something, but he's fumbling with his own seatbelt. The maniac reaches over and in one swift motion unclips Lev's seatbelt. Pastor Dan grabs at the intruder, who responds with a quick, powerful punch, a jab right at Pastor Dan's jaw. The shock of seeing such violence distracts Lev at a crucial moment. The maniac tugs on him again, and this time Lev falls out of the car, hitting his head on the pavement. When he looks up, he sees his father finally getting out of the car, but the crazy kid swings the car door hard against him, sending him flying. Dad! His father lands in the path of an oncoming car. The car swerves, and, thank God, it misses him, but it cuts off another car, hitting it. The car spins out of control, and the sound of crashes fills the air. Lev is pulled to his feet again by the kid, who grabs Lev's arm and drags him off. Lev is small for his age. This kid is a couple of years older and much bigger. Lev can't break free. Stop! Yells Lev. You can have whatever you want. Take my wallet, he says, even though he has no wallet. Take the car. Just don't hurt anyone. The kid considers the car, but only for an instant. Bullets now fly past him. On the southbound roadway are policemen who have finally stopped traffic on their side of the interstate and have made it to the median dividing the north and southbound lanes. The closest officer fires again. A tranq bullet hits the Cadillac and splatters. The crazy kid now puts Lev into a chokehold, holding Lev between himself and the officers. Lev realizes that he doesn't want a car or money. He wants a hostage. Stop struggling. I've got a gun. And Lev feels the kid poke him in the side. Lev knows it's not a gun. He knows it's just the kid's finger. But this is clearly an unstable individual, and he doesn't want to set him off. I'm worthless as a human shield, Lev says, trying to reason with him. Those are tranq bullets they're shooting, which means the cops don't care if they hit me. They'll just knock me out. Better you than me. Bullets fly past them as they wind around swerving traffic. Please, you don't understand. You can't take me now. I'm being tied. I'll miss my harvest. You'll ruin everything. And finally, a hint of humanity comes into the maniac's eyes. You're an Unwind? There are a million more things to be furious about, but Lev finds himself incensed by what he's just been called. I'm a tithe! A blaring horn, and Lev turns to see a bus bearing down on them. Before either of them has a chance to scream, the bus careens off the road to avoid them and smashes head-on against the fat trunk of a huge oak, stopping the bus cold. There's blood all over the smashed windshield. It's the bus driver's blood. He hangs halfway through, and he's not moving. Oh, crap, says the maniac in a creepy whine in his voice. A girl has just stepped out of the bus. The crazy kid looks at her, and Lev realizes that now, while he's distracted, is his last chance he's going to have to get away. This kid is an animal. The only way to deal with him is for Lev to become an animal himself. So Lev grabs the arm that's locked around his neck and sinks his teeth in with the full force of his jaws until he tastes blood. The kid screams, letting go, and Lev bolts away, racing towards his father's car. As he nears it, a back door opens. It's Pastor Dan opening the door to receive him, yet the expression on the man's face is anything but happy. With his face already swelling from the crazy kid's brutal punch, Pastor Dan says with a hiss and strange warble to his voice, "Run, Lev!" Lev wasn't expecting this. What? Run! Run as fast and as far as you can! Run! Lev stands there impotent, unable to move, unable to process this. Why is Pastor Dan telling him to run? Then comes a sudden pain in his shoulder, and everything starts spinning round and round down a drain into darkness.